there, it's Sandy Allnock in for Ellen Hudson, and today I'm going to be talking more about Pantone Classic Blue, the color of the year for 2020. And this time I'm going to focus on watercolor. And I showed you a chart in my last video on this topic, and it has a whole bunch of different mediums that you can use, and you can, of course, not have to use these exact colors, but something close to classic blue. But since this color that I chose, Prussian, is not in my regular palette, I had to mix it up in something else. I have this little bowl, and I put in a splooge of the color and some water, and then mixed it up with my brush. And that way I have a lot of color to work with as I'm trying to test the color. I want to see what Prussian blue does when it's mixed with other colors. My favorite group of colors to try with, and I always try this first, is the Essentials, the 6 Essential set from Daniel Smith. It has a warm and a cool yellow, blue, and red. I don't need to really test it with the blues that are in there, so I'm only going to test it with the reds. And I'm going to make an X and just put a cool yellow out here on one side, and then see what happens when they meet. What color do they make, and how do they move? Does one move into the other more? And if I see something like that, it deserves further testing to see if it always happens, or was it just because of the amount of water that I had in one or the other. But I'm mixing these wet in wet because I want the colors to mix as they will, and then I'll know a little bit more about what they might do when I use them to paint with. And so I've got my cools on the top and my warms on the bottom. I can pick up my paper and bend it and help those colors to mix and move a little bit, and see what's going to happen when I use them later on. What I decided to do also for testing was to make a card. And I drew a grid, and I'll give you the measurements over on the blog post if you want to make a card like this. And I wrote some sticky notes because I forget things easily. And the columns are going to be my warm red, my warm yellow, and the Prussian blue. And across, I'm going to do the cool red, the cool yellow, and the Prussian blue. And while it's still wet, it's important to do this quickly. While it's still wet, add your Prussian blue to the warm red, add it to the warm yellow, and see what happens. The amount of each pigment that you have is going to change how dark or how green or how purple the color might be, but this is just a way to play with them and test. The person who receives this will have no idea that you were testing color, but you can actually test and learn something at the same time as making a card for someone, which is a pretty cool double deal all at once. After it was all dry, I used a kneaded eraser, and then I took a scrap of paper and I put the Prussian blue on one side and my quinacridone rose from the Essential set on the other side, and I just kind of tilted them until they made a nice purple in the middle, embossed a hello sentiment on them, and then the card was finished once I put it onto a card base. So you can do something like that and learn from your testing at the same time as you're actually getting a card made. And I love being able to do everything all at once because I don't have enough hours in my day. On my channel, I've got a little video about how I do testing with more colors than just the Essentials if you're interested in that. And I will see you guys again very soon. Go visit the blog to pick up the grid for the card, and I'll see you later.